I tried to tell the story to myself, and when I told it to myself, I thought it was rather spectacular. So what was it? Well, we have been everywhere. And by we, it doesn't matter. You'll pick up on it eventually. We have been everywhere. Earth is just one of our homes. It's like the armpit of the armpit of the armpit of the armpit. It's really a place when we want to chill out. We come over and just be normal people. We don't want to be too complicated. We want to enjoy something simple. It's crawling with life as compared to many other planets. We are all across the galaxy. But I'd like to say, whether or not you believe, just pretend for a minute that it's true. Pretend it's a script. Pretend it's a movie. I mean, it was written, but, I don't think most of you people don't know that. You'd have to have something to understand that it was written. You'd have to understand something at all for that to be believable for you. At that point alone, the fact that it was written would just be something that you argue. Until you really understand history, until you really understand how things actually happen. I like Kings and Generals, the channel. It really does put you into the mind state of the people that were there. Nothing just really happens. As in, anything that is not living is probably going to happen predictably. As in, the whole rest of the universe is rather predictable except for something that is living. And it might be the idea that there's much more than nature going on, but nature is a better example as to give. As in, something is trying to predict your next move, it behooves you to do something different. And now, I honestly feel like life and people and everything in general isn't designed to necessarily be predictable. Because if it was, it would get eaten. It's one of those things, it's one of those variables where if you want to do something predictable, eventually somebody will get skilled enough to where if you do that, every single time you do that, they will have that reaction towards it, and they will eat you. And so is it really more about being skilled or being predictable? It's something to think about. I mean, I'm thinking about it right now because it's honestly a brand new idea to me, and something that definitely has its own rabbit hole. But what I wanted to talk about was the fact that it's a story, that it is written. And you start pretending it's a story, then you start to believe it. Believe it as if it's just a story. And do you actually think that, I want to say we, because it is a we, in which case, pretend I'm Gabriel for a minute, and this is the truth. That's usually the best place to start with the story. It's the best place I start with the book, is by believing. Makes the story better. But some people don't have the ability to imagine. They're anti-imagination. They don't like those variables that they can't account for. And it's to the point where they don't like to see the variables that are in front of their face, and the ones that they hear, especially the ones that they hear, they want to limit those. Maybe they limit everything they can limit. Eventually they'll limit what you can see and what you can't see. Wait, they already do that. Everything is everything, and there's a reason for everything. And if it is all God's will, like, I understand we all complain. Maybe our complaints are valid. Maybe it's God's will that we do complain. But you people judge a lot. And you judge incorrectly, and you judge falsely. You make that gamble, and it seems that this American society has been built on politeness. And even though it pains us to act like that, it pains us to just, it feels like I'm getting disrespected all the time. It feels like I'm being disrespected all the time by ignorant people that say stupid stuff and have no idea what it is they're talking about. And I'm supposed to be like, yeah, yeah, sure, yep, right. And I do. And we all do. And it gets to the point where it's like, I can't talk to anybody. I can't have a genuine conversation or be candid with anybody. And part of the problem is I'm dealing with existential crises, but I'm always dealing with something existential. And maybe it's the idea that they want you. These people like to exist in one state and one state only. There's also a whole thing called the limiting of perspective, where if you don't understand somebody else's perspective, you don't know your own state. So people that are entirely them-centric never really understand themselves because everything exists within reference to something else. And it's actually very scientific. I heard it was a Buddhist philosophy, but it's honestly just common sense. Somebody told me, you sound very Buddhist. I'm like, what are you talking about? It's like, it's Buddhist philosophy. I'm like, how is it Buddhist philosophy? The philosophy is that everything exists within reference to something else. Let's take the whole idea that you're moving. You don't know if you're moving. You're only moving in relation to something else ever. Now they tell me time, I don't understand Lorenz at all. It confuses me. I mean, I put my own theory to double slit out there, which probably makes more sense. But there's two things. One, you are always moving in relation to something else. You don't know how fast you're moving, which direction you're moving, or anything like that. If you are one entity that exists within a vacuum. If you're one entity that exists within a vacuum, you do not know your state. You just don't. You don't know your distance between something. Yeah, and if you have nothing to reflect your own state back at you and to tell you who you are, you don't know yourself. You can't, unless you have a mirror, you cannot see yourself. And even a mirror is another object. It's an object which you have reference to. Unless it's a rotating object. But even then, let's say you are one entity, one infinitely small entity, right? In which case, that all goes away. And I honestly believe that this is just infinitely small and infinitely small and infinitely small, and it actually turns into something eventually. Like an infinite quantity, infinitely small, eventually begets a fucking thing at some point in time. But it doesn't take an infinite amount, infinitely small. And somehow infinitely small can be quantified. But that's just a completely other thing. My point is, where are you? What are you? Who are you? You don't know yourself until you see something else. You don't know yourself until you see a reflection. And the best reflection you could have is not necessarily a mirror, but how people react to you and how they see you. Doesn't mean they dictate your reality. A rotating body has reference to itself, unless it's infinitely small, in which case it has no reference to itself. But I don't remember you spinning. In which case, go ahead and spin around over and over and over again. See if it gives you a better reference to yourself than just, I don't know, looking at other things and trying to understand them. Because I don't think it will. I think it'll just make you dizzy. I gotta keep this under 10 minutes. It takes forever to upload it. I don't. In which case, I forgot my original fucking point in this bitch. It's alright. I like listening to myself speak more than I like listening to other people right now. Because they all sound like fucking idiots.